We are starting the study of Shivaleelarnavam, Sarga 4 today. नमस्सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्थले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शफरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनी पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गाङ्गम्पयः शङ्करमौळिसङ्गात् तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराधपादाहते पूततमं ततो नः. For a lot of people who are joining this course for the first time, that is those who have not attended Sarga 1, 2 or 3, this will be a nice introduction for you to know about the poet, the grantham, etc. So first, prathamam tu atra kavi parichayaha bhavati. Who is this poet who has written this work called Shivaleelarnavam? His name is Neelakantha Dikshitaha. He is the author of this, he is the poet who has written this great work, Mahakavyam, called Shivaleelarnavam. He lived during the later half of the 16th century to the early part of the 17th century. He is Appaya Dikshita's grandson. That is not his direct descendant, but his brother's grandson. He has also received a lot of anugraham from Appaya Dikshita. Appaya Dikshita was a very famous person and he has written a lot of works. He has actually, the number of works that he has written numbers to some 108 or so in various topics. He has written about Advaita Vedanta. He has written about Shivadvaita, which was his guru's line of thought, which is Shivadvaitam, wherein Parameshwara is the ultimate reality, just as how we have Shaktam. In the same way, Shaivism also flourished under Appaya Dikshita. Appaya Dikshita was also a great Sahityakara. In his following his footsteps, his grandson Neelakantha Dikshita, who is the author of Shivaleelarnavam, also was a great Pandit, both in grammar, in Tantra Shastram, Shaivism, and Sahitya Shastram. He is most famous for his Kalividambanam, which is a very, it's a sarcastic take on how people were in that society during the 1600s. So it was a nice take. There are 3 areas where in Tamil Nadu, which can say that, okay, Neelakantha Dikshita belongs to our area. So the first area is Kanchipuram district, wherein Adayapalam is where he was born. Close to that area is, you have Virinchipuram also, where Appaya Dikshita led his life there. When he was around, when Appaya Dikshita was more than 70, 75, that is when Neelakantha Dikshita was around 8 or 10 years old, and he received this book from Appaya Dikshita as his last legacy. He got supposedly a Raghuvamsha and a Devi Mahatmyam book, and both his Kavyam, love for Kavyam and the love for Devi is seen very beautifully in this work, Shivaleelarnavam. The next, he moved on to Madurai, where he was the Pradhana Mantri of Tirumala Naika during his rule. And then afterwards, he became disillusioned by the politics, and he probably wanted to just retire, and he went to Palamadai in Tirunelveli district, where he spent his last years there. Now, this text that he has written many texts, but what we are looking at is Shivaleelarnavam. What is this Shivaleelarnavam? Shivaleelarnavam talks of the Vilayadal or Leelaha of Shiva, which he did in and around Madurai, spanning over the 4 yugas, Krita Yuga, the Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. There are many texts which enumerate, which talk about his leelas. So Shivasya leelaha eva Arnavaha. Arnavaha is Samudram. So his leelas, the sports that he showed, or the anugraham that he did to the bhaktas in and around that area, is like an ocean, and this kavyam is based on that. So the vyutpatti for the word Shivaleelarnavam is Shivasya leelaha eva Arnavaha. Tam adhikritya kritam kavyam iti Shivaleelarnavam. There are totally 64 Divya Leelaha that he showed, and that has been concisely and beautifully written in the form of poetry by Nilakanta Dikshita. There are about 2000 shlokas here. To be exact, it is 1998 shlokas in spanning over 22 sargas. The moolam for this is from Skanda Puranam, Shankara Samhita, and within the Shankara Samhita, you have a section called Agastya Samhita, where there are about 71 adhyayas describing the 64 Divya Leelas. Totally, that takes up about 6,300 shlokas. So that is our moolam, or the source for the idea of writing a kavyam about Shiva's Leelas. Now, this is the source, this Skanda Puranam, Shankara Samhita, Agastya Samhita, wherein this 71 adhyayas of called Halasya Mahatmyam. Halasyam is Madurai. So, Halasya Mahatmyam is a text which forms a part of Skanda Puranam, and that text is the source text even for our Tamil Thiruvalayadal Puranam written by Paranjoti Adigal. In his Thiruvalayadal Puranam, in the beginning itself, he says about Nool Shirappu, that is the greatness of the work that he is writing. He has written that he has taken it from this. I do not know about the earlier text, which was Alavayudayar Thiruvalayadal, which was written by Perumbatrapuliyur Nambi, whether he had taken the source from Halasya Mahatmyam or not. But Paranjoti Adigal clearly mentions that it is taken from Skanda Puranam, Shankara Samhitai, Agastya Samhitai. There is a work called Halasya Mahatmyam, and that is where my source is. So these are some of the texts that describe the Shivaleelas in their own language. It is also there in Telugu. Someone has translated this entire thing into Kannada also. So there is a Shivaleelarnavam in Kannada language. If you are familiar with it, you can read it in your own language also. Our concern is more with the text and the content and appreciating the beauty rather than the language here. So any language will work, right? Now, from the Moolam, in the third chapter of the Moolam, Halasya Mahatmyam, Agastya describes all of those 64 Leelas in a very short format to the rishis who come there. If you are familiar with Puranas and the Purana style of talking, it's more like a storytelling, right? So where everybody gathers for some yaga or yajna, there is an interval there. So during the evening time when the yagam is not being done, that is when everybody gathers around one Pauranika who tells the stories. Now here, it is not a Pauranika, but it is Agastya who has gotten this information from Muruga himself, and then he is talking about this to all the rishis who have assembled, and they are asking him about it. Now, what are those leelas? Whether these rishis were present during Kali Yugam or Treta Yugam, or that, it is very difficult to understand the time frame in which we are talking about. It is not a very linear time that we are talking about. In the sense, there are different kalpas. These leelas may have happened in different kalpas. It need not have happened in just one Chatur Yugam. It could have happened in several Chatur Yugams over several different kalpas. So it is not that one kalpa and within one Chatur Yugam, all of these happened. Tatha nasti. Even if you take Ramavataram or Krishnavataram, Ramavataram is supposed to have happened in the 23rd or 24th Chatur Yuga in one cycle, and Krishna Avatara happens in the 27th Chatur Yuga or something like that. So there is a specific, not all avatars happen in the same Chatur Yuga. Not all Leelas would be applying the same logic here also. All Shiva Leelas do not appear in the same Chatur Yugam. So it can happen in different Chatur Yugas, different Kalpas also. So in general, the Rishis are now asking Agastya about the Leelas that happened. So he says 4 happened in Krita Yugam. 64 வந்து 16. Yeah, sorry. Shodasha. 16 happened in Krita Yugam, 16 happened in Treta Yugam, and 16 in Dwapara Yuga, 16 happened in Kali Yuga. So that is his, that's how he gives an introduction to the 64 leelas that happened. And the first, second, and third, he enumerates all of those 64 in the third chapter of Halasya Mahatmyam. Prathama prathita leela vritrarehe vrijinapaha द्वितीया सा मुने शापात मुक्तिः ऐरावतस्य च तृतीया सा नीपमन्याम अकरोत् मधुरापुरीम. The first leela was described in the third sarga, which we had last year, which we were doing last year. So the first leela, Shivaleela, was Vritra Arehe Vrijina Apaha, the removal of the papam made by Indra. He got that papam because of killing Vritrasura. So Vritra Arehe, by the enemy of Vritra. So this enemy of Vritrasura, who is Indra, Indra's Vrijinam or papam was removed. Apaha is the first leela. So Shiva removed his papam and showed his anugraham towards Indra. Now the second and the third are being described in this fourth sarga, which is Munehe Shapat Airavatasya Muktihi and Nipavanyam Madhurapurim Akarot. These are the two leelas that are going to be described in the Chaturtha Sarga, which we are going to see right now. And how is the Chaturtha Sarga, the fourth Sarga of Shivaleelarnavam, arranged here? It involves the 6th and 7th Adhyaya of Halasya Mahatmyam. Now what I took from the third Sarga is just like a Anukramanika. We have this Vishayanukramanika, right? Table of contents. So the table of contents of the entire 64 leelas is present in the third Adhyaya, whereas the 6th and the 7th Adhyaya gives a detailed explanation, detailed description of how those two Shivaleelas happened. That is in the 6th and 7th Adhyaya of Halasya Mahatmyam. This Chaturtha Sarga, which is being written by Nilakanta Dikshita, has 108 shlokas, very simple verses, because they are in Anushtubh here. Usually kavyams have different vrittams for each sarga. In the first sarga we had Indra Vajra, Upendra Vajra, Upajati varieties in the first sarga and the second sarga. The third sarga we had Malabharini. Now in this fourth sarga, until 106 shlokas, we have Anushtubh. Anushtubh is the most common meter that we have found. We see in Lalita Sahasranamam, Vishnu Sahasranama, Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Many small stotras are there in Anushtubh Chandas. It's a very common meter that forms until 106. You have Anushtubh Chandas in this. The 107 is Vasanta Tilaka, 108 is Shardula Vikriditam. So Nilakanta Dikshita seems to like this Shardula Vikriditam as the closing shloka for closing meter for all sargas. Usually at the end of a sarga, the meter has to change. That is why you find 2 or 3 shlokas, sometimes just one. Some authors, some poets even have 4 shlokas in different meters at the end of the sarga. The idea of this, I have said before also in the earlier courses, that see, in those days, it was never written and published. Today, we write 4 lines, we want it published and we want it on Amazon. That was not the case in those days. In 1600s, you write something, it is more to satisfy your own creative expression. You want to put certain things on words, so you write something. But then some people would want to show it to a certain people, or at least ensure that people who are of the same wavelength can appreciate this sort of a poetry. So, arangetradal. There were certain things where they will do the arangetram for this poetry, where one was in King's Darbar or in the temple. These were the 2 places that usually this happened. So one was in the temple or it was in the Darbar. When you do that, You can't make printouts of that and distribute to everybody. Today we say a stotram in the temple, immediately you will have 15 copies being distributed, or even 20-25 copies being distributed to everybody. Everybody can look at it and see it. But that was not the case in those days. They used to write it on their own. They had no printing press at that point of time in India, right? So what they did was, the poet who was reading it out was reciting the entire kavyam, and people understood it as he was reciting it. The intelligence of the people, the audience, was also such that they did not need any translations or vyakhyanam to understand the shlokas at that point of time. So it was fine for them. They could understand those. But how do you indicate that you are done with one sarga and you are moving on to the other sarga? That was indicated by a vrittam change. So the moment you change the vrittam, change the meter of the shloka, the people's attention are brought together immediately, and they know that, oh, one section is over. The next section they will start. So it's also to awaken people who might be a little bored and then say, okay, this is சும்மா ஒரு வேடிக்கைக்காக சொல்றேன், just kidding. But then, it is a way to indicate that one sarga is over and another sarga starts on. This is also a rule that Dandi has given in his Kavya Darshan, saying that every sarga has to follow one rhythm, one vrittam, until the end. When the end is there, you change it to a different meter so that people understand that one section is over and another section starts off. So following that pattern and following that rule, Nilakanta Dikshita has also changed the meter for, he has used Praharishini, Shardula Vikriditam, Vasanta Tilaka, all of these vrittams to change the last few shlokas of a sarga. In keeping with that, here also there is Anushtubh till shloka 106, 107 is Vasanta Tilaka, and 108 is Shardula Vikriditam. Now, what is the story in these sargas? There are two stories that he addresses in this one sarga. Later on, in fact, you are looking at 64 leelas in 22 sargas. So some leelas do not need so much of a description and everything. So he has actually combined 4-5 leelas together in one sarga also in the later portions. Now here he has combined two of the Shivaleelas, number 2 and number 3, in this one sarga. So the first one is Airavata Shapa Vimochanam. So you have Indra and Durvasa, they come together somehow, Yadrichaya, they both meet, and during that meeting, Indra is on his Airavatam. Durvasa gives a flower to him. This is a very known story. Everybody knows this story. We are going to see how Nilakanta Dikshita gives that story in a very beautiful manner in his own style, how he portrays that, how he describes that incident. So Durvasa gives the Ishvara Prasadam, a divine flower, to Indra, and Indra, out of arrogance or just, he is probably fresh into that post, so he feels that he cannot take all this, or he is a Raja who is sitting on that Airavatam, so he just places it on the Airavata's head. It falls down. Airavata stamps it. So because Airavata stamps it, and it is a divine offering, Durvasa, who is quick to anger, he immediately gets angry and he curses Airavatam to be born as a normal elephant in the bhumi. Then all the devas who are all surrounded there, they fall at his feet. Indra also gets down. Airavata also gets down and bows down to the Rishi and says, this was, you immediately feel apologetic about it, and they regret their actions. And so he amends it a little bit, and he says, your Shama Vimochanam will happen when you go to Nipavanam, which is Kadambavanam, wherein this we saw the construction of the temple by Indra last time, right? In the third sarga, he has constructed that temple. You go there, and then your Shapam, you will be released from your curse. So this is the Dvitiya Leela. The third Leela is the construction of Madurapuri. Mathura usually refers to the birthplace of Krishna, and Madhura refers to Madurai, which is in South India. So the construction of Madhura Nagari happens in the rule of Raja Kulashekara Pandya. During his rule, there is a Vaishya, a merchant called Dhananjaya, who is Shiva Bhakta, and he also does his business in a very correct manner, in a very proper manner, dharmic way. And this Vaishya, he keeps traveling all around, and then by chance he enters into Nipavanam during the evening time. So there is a description of Surya Astamanam, that the setting of the sun, describing the sunset, moonrise, describing forests. These are also rules of a Mahakavya. So in Kavya Darsha is a text written by Dandi where he gives the rules for how to recognize a Mahakavyam, or if you are brave enough to write a Mahakavyam, then you should know what are all the rules you have to remember to write the Mahakavyam. So Sarga Bandho Mahakavyam Uchyate. The Sarga Bandha, it should be divided into Sargas, it should have description of all of these things. So in that, the description of Surya Astamanam or Chandrodayam, these nature descriptions also form a part of Mahakavyam. And Nilakanta Dikshita follows that rule here, and he describes the setting of the sun in Nipavanam, Kadambavanam. So because it has become dark, this Vaishya tries to find out a place for him to stay the night so that in the morning he can get back to his city. So he stays the night in the temple, in that mandapam which was constructed by Vishwakarma Indra, upon the orders of Indra, which we saw in the last Sarga, in the third Sarga, right? So he chances upon that place, and Shiva gives him the Divya Chakshus, and he sees Devatas coming there to do Archana. So until then, it was such a secret place that only the Devatas knew about it, or the Shiva Bhaktas knew about it. And during, as time went by, people did not know about it at all, and it became obscure. So Dhananjaya, this merchant, he chances upon this mandapam during his night stay in Nipavanam, and he witnesses this divine puja that happens, wherein Indra comes down himself and he does this puja. After seeing that, Dhananjaya goes to Kulashekara Raja and he informs him about this incident that he witnessed. And then Shiva appears in the Swapnam of Kulashekara Pandya, and he tells him to construct a city there around that mandapam. Of course, it is filled with a lot of trees, and then he brings down all those trees and he constructs Madhurapuri in that area. So that is how the city of Madurai came about. Till this description, it covers the Chaturtha Sarga covers both of these leelas, and it finishes with the description of the Madhurapuri. Okay. Now about the meter, Anushtubh. What we saw till now were all following this Yamata Rajabhanasalaga, wherein you take in the letters, whether it is Guru Laghu or Guru Laghu, you mark your shloka with Guru Laghu, try to find out how many matras are there in, how many aksharas are there in one padam, and then try to find out which gana it follows. Combine it with 3, 3, and 3, and 3, and then try to fix the meter. That's what we have done. Now we come to Anushtubh, which does not follow this Gana method at all. That is, Anushtubh, there are many Gana following meters, that is Akshara Chandas, Akshara Brittam, which are of Anushtubh. That is, you have 8 letters per padam, and those letters are also in a Gana format. You can have, then it is named differently. Like, for example, you have a meter called Vidyunmala, which has 8 letters per padam, but it is an Anushtubh Jati. So Anushtubh is like a bigger umbrella under which a lot of different vrittas can come. But there can also be shlokas which do not have this Gana pattern following, and we in general say that it is Anushtubh. That's all. So it follows that, but it does not follow a Gana pattern. So it is very different. So the definition for Anushtubh here is Panchamam Laghu Sarvatra Saptamam Dvichaturthayoho Guruhu Shashtham cha Padanam Shesheshu Aniyamo Mataha. This is a definition taken from Chando Manjari. What does it say? It says Panchamam Laghu Sarvatra. Sarvatra ityukte Chaturshu api Padeshu. There are 4 padas in a shloka. So what are the 4 padas? You will divide, let's say, if it is a samavrittam. So there is a vishamavrittam, there is a ardha samavrittam, and there is a samavrittam. Samavrittam is there are only equal number of letters in every padam. Ardha samavrittam would mean 1 and 3 follow the same pattern and follow the same number of letters. 2 and 4, 1 and 3, 2 and 4. 2 and 4 follow a different pattern. That is what we saw in Malabharini, where it was 11, 12, 11, 12 for the entirety of third Sarga. Now here it is Panchamam Laghu Sarvatra. This is one padam. Saptamam Dvichaturthayoho Guruhu Shashtam cha Padanam Shesheshu Aniyamaha Mataha. Now what does it mean? Sarvatra, everywhere in all 4 padas, 1, 2, 3, 4. Laghu, letters are Panchamam, the 5th letter, Saptamam, the 7th letter, Dvi, the 2nd letter, and the Chaturtha, 4th letter. So 2, 4, 5, 7. These letters should be Laghu. Guruhu Shashtham Padanam. So in all the padas, Shashtham Guruhu, the 6th letter should be a Guru. Padanam Shesheshu, in the rest of the padas, Aniyamaha Mataha. There is no Niyamam. It can either be a Guru or a Laghu. So this is a definition that is given in the Chando Manjari. Now, what does it say? So it actually means 1 can be anything. Then you have a Laghu. 3 can be anything. Then 4, 5, 6 you have a Laghu Guru. Then 7 is also a Laghu. 8 can be anything. And this is a standard definition for Anushtubh. This is how every padam should be. But not all shlokas follow this method. Right? Let's take a very common shloka like Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram Shaktev Pautram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukadatam Taponidhim. Does it follow? It doesn't. So it should be 1, can be anything. So some should be a Laghu, but it is not a Laghu. Some iti Anuswara Purvakam Akarasya Tatra Hrasva Yadyapi Hrasvaha Asti Tadhapi, it is considered as Guru. It is not considered as Laghu. Vasishta Naptaram. If you look at how it is arranged, there should be a Laghu here, wherein Vasishta. Here this should be a Laghu, but it is only a Hrasva, which is followed by a Samyuktakshara Ishanta. So this Hrasva should be treated as a Guru. So your rule is just thrown out of the window here. Panchamam Laghu Sarvatra Ityadikam is gone now. Right? In a simple shloka, if you take any of the Vishnu Sahasranama shloka, not all will come under this rule of Panchamam Laghu Sarvatra. So how do we identify this? 8 in every pada, which is the simplest way of understanding this shloka. I'll deal with the questions at the end, please. Yeah. So any number, it need not follow the same pattern that is said. Now, so this definition has been revised in the following manner. Prayoge prayikam prahuhu kepi etad vritta lakshanam loke anushtubiti kyatam tasya ashtaksharata mata. Prayoge prayikam prahuhu. Prayikam prahuhu vritta lakshanam. Etad vrittasya lakshanam. Ko api, ke api, some of them, etad vrittasya lakshanam, this vritta's lakshanam has been said as prayikam. Prayikam means, in general, you can take it as panchamam, lagu sarvatra, saptamam, dvichaturthayoho, guru shashtam cha. In general, that's all. But prayoge prayikam, prayoge ityukte, प्रयोगे कीदृशं वर्तते इति द्रष्टव्यं तत्र सर्वथा लक्षणानुसारेण एव एतद्वृत्तं तथा न भवति इति वक्तव्यम् because this vritta is very different and special. It does not follow your regular definition method. Loke Anushtubh iti khyatam, whatever is known as Anushtubh in the loka, in our Sahitya world, tasya ashtaksharata mata. There should be 8 letters, aksharas in it. Aksharas are vowel with a consonant combination. Swara Vyanjana combination is an akshara with respect to vrittam here. So, vya, you always only count the vowels in the padam. So, vyasam, va, sishtha, nap, ta, ram. Iti 8 letters. So, shaktev, pautram, akalmasham. If you count each any of those, there will not be 9, there will only be 8 vowels if you count correctly. So, this is the definition of Anushtubh. So you cannot follow Panchamam Lagu Sarvatra, but you take it in general as any Ashtaksharam and Prayoge. You will understand the rhythm of it as you have read so many Anushtubh shlokas. You will understand how it goes. Any 8, let's say 8 of those letters are just Laghu letters. That will not be considered as a shloka itself because there is no rhythm to it. There is no beauty to that expression. So it also depends on prayoga. As you study, as you read more and more poetry and understand the flow of that poetry, you will know how to compose or how to recognize an Anushtubh. Right? Now, we will go to the first shloka of Chaturtha Sarga. Nivritte vasave tasmin, nivritte chantare manoho, indan chakara kopyanyo, vrindaraka niketane. One difference that I have found from the first 3 sargas to the 4th sarga, as you transition from the 3rd sarga to the 4th sarga, you will also be able to recognize this if you have gone through the first 3 sargas with me. There are more of anuprasas here. Yamakam and anuprasa is just filled in this sarga. And it also follows the Dvitiyakshara prasa, which is very common in Tamil poetry. In Tamil poetry, the second letter of each padam, the first and second padam or the third and fourth padam will always match 1 to 1 exactly. It will that is very common, and every poetry in many poetries, let's say 90% of the poetry in Tamil Chayyuls will have this beautiful anuprasa and the following, the repetition of the letters Vyanjanam in general. So he seems to have followed that methodology here. I don't know what was the transition that happened in the mind of Nilakanta Dikshita when he moved from 3rd Sarga to 4th Sarga. He probably read a lot more of Tamil poetry, or he got his hand on this Thiruvilayadal Puranam, and then he probably read that a lot more, because Thiruvilayadal Puranam by Paranjoti Adigal was in 13th century, supposedly. So we don't know. The language is also quite terse, and it is an older language. So it is quite possible that it was older than Nilakanta Dikshita, and he got his hand on it, and he decided to employ that in his kavyams also. I don't know, but it is very typical of Tamil poetry, and he has adopted that style in this 4th sarga. So you will find that prasam constantly in this 4th sarga. Nivritte vasave tasmin, nivritte chantare manoho. Each pada. Indan chakara kopyanyo, vrindaraka niketane. The beginning of each of those padas, you will find the repetition. Indan chakre, vrindaraka, inda iti. There is a repetition of the second letter. This Dvitiyakshara prasa is very typical only of the Tamil tradition I have seen. Maybe of Telugu also. Telugu poetry also might have that tradition. I have seen it in southern traditions, but not much in Hindi or anything. It is very less there. So nivritte vasave tasmin. Tasmin vasave nivritte. Now since this is a continuation of the earlier sarga, the third sarga, and we are also reading it in continuous this thing, so we can pick out from the earlier sarga also. Tasmin vasave. When that Indra, Tasmin vasave ityukte, the Indra who was in that Vritra Vrijina Apaha, we read that as the Prathama Leela, right? So Vritrahatya Vimochanam Yasya Indrasya Asit Tasmin Indre Vasave Nivritte Sati. When that Indra's time was over, when that Indra had gone, Nivritte, when he had gone. So the Indra, whose sin of killing Vritra Papa Nivaranam Yasya Indrasya Asit, Tasya Indrasya Kalastu Samaptaha. Nivritte cha antare manoho. When Manu's Kala also was gone. Manoho antare nivritte. When Manu's time was also samaptaha. Now, what does this mean? I'll tell you. Kopi anyaha kopi anyaha vrindaraka niketane indan chakara. Kopi anyaha, some other Indra, some other person, vrindaraka niketane, vrindarakaha indraha devaha. So vrindarakanam niketane devanam loke atava devanam puryam amaravatyam indan chakara, he ruled. Now this seems very like a clue here, in the sense there is a riddle here. One Indra went away and another Indra came in. All this while we have been thinking that there is only one Indra or one Deva. That is with respect to our time frame. Our time frame is such a small time frame when compared to the Deva's time frame that we think that there is only one Indra. And the next Indra is going to come sometime later. Yes, that is what actually happened. That's why I started off by saying all of those 64 leelas need not have happened in the same Chatur Yuga. It could have happened in different Chatur Yuga. The first clue that we have is in the first line of the shloka itself. So Vasave Nivritte, Tasmin Vasave Nivritte, Ityukte Tritiya Sarge Yaha Vasavaha Asit, Vasavaha Ityukte Indraha. So the one who was an Indra in the third Sarga, Tasmin Nivritte Sati, when he had gone away. Now what happened? For every, there is a Deva Varsham and Deva Chaturyugam happens. That is, how do I say that? So when Kala Vyavastha in Sanskritam is such that, in Puranas is such that you have, let's say, 100 years for a man. Now 1 year of ours is 1 day and night for Devas. So 6 months, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, we have seen, right? Now Uttarayana has started with the Pongal time, Sankranti. You have the Uttarayana, which is we are in the daytime of Devas. The first 6 months is the daytime of Devas, and then the night time, Dakshinayana, is towards the night time of the Devas. Right? So Margari is actually Mrigashirsha, that Margari time is usually the Brahma Muhurtam of Devas. That is why it's supposed to be a very auspicious time for us. So the Devas' time is like this. So imagine now they will have to go through 100 of our, so 365 days, which is 1 year. 365 years is 1 year for Devas. Chart I didn't think about bringing that chart here. So 365 years of human years is 1 day for 1 year for a Devas, and you will have to go through 100 of those years, and then his time is over. After his time is over, another person will come there to that position. So this is how the Vyavastha is. Now within this, there are 71 Chatur Yugas have to go on like this. And those 71 Chaturyugas constitute one Manvantara. Chaturyuga is our Krita, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. It runs to some millions of our human years. Okay, so if you get into that unit, you can go to Wikipedia and search for Hindu units of time, and you will get this entire chart there. I didn't want to bring in the Wikipedia here, so you can have a look at that. So what we are looking at is one Manvantaram is gone. So Manvantara involves 71 Chaturyugas. And many such manvantaras, that is 14 such manvantaras, constitute a Mahakalpam. After that, you will have a Kalpam, which is the Parardham of a Brahma. Brahma's years is beyond this. His 50 years. Now, when we do a Sankalpam, we say Brahmanaha Dviti Shvetavaraha Kalpe Dvitiya Parardhe. Brahmanaha Dvitiya Parardhe. That is his second 50 years are happening now when we are doing this Sankalpam every day. So it is in the second parardha of Brahma, in Brahma's time. So which Chaturyugam we don't know, but it is in the Shvetavaraha Kalpa, where Varaha Avataram started off in the beginning of this Kalpa. So the time units are really mind-boggling because they go into such detail, whether it is the smallest unit of time or the highest unit of time. Now Chaturyugas, 71 of those constitute one Manvantara. Imagine the Indra who was during the Vritrahananam was in the Krita Yugam of one Chaturyuga. The next Chaturyugam comes in the next Manvantara. You understand? So, Tasya Manoho, in whichever Krita Yugam, so probably it is that Manvantara's last Chaturyugam that happened, the 71st Chaturyugam that happened, or it could be any other Chaturyugam that happened in that Manu's Kala. Manu is a Prajapati. Manu is one of the Adhishtata who takes care of this world as a representative of Vishnu. Now he will look after 71 of those Chaturyugas. So one Indra's life is over there. Now that Manu's life is also over. Manoho antare nivritte sati. Manoho kalaha api gataha. Tadanantaram, when the second, another Manu comes up, Manvantara. 14 Manvantaras is one Kalpa, right? So the second Manvantara has started now. Let's say, assuming, I don't know the numbers here and he doesn't give the numbers also. So when the second Manvantara also starts, Kopi Anyaha, there was another Indra who took up this Indra position, another person who took up this Indra position, and he was Indan Chakara. He ruled. That is Indan Chakara ityukte idi Paramaishwarye iti dhatuhu. For lit lakara for that is Indan Chakara idi Paramaishwarye. That is he experienced Anubhavan asta saha Parama Aishwaryam Anubhavan asta saha Raraja ityarthaha. He ruled. Someone else ruled as Indra who enjoyed a lot of these Aishwaryam in that place. So this Airavata Shapa Mochana Kalinaha Indraha tu Anyaha eva Vritrahananam, and one who constructed that temple there using Vishwakarma, that Indra is different. Okay, so Vrindaraka Niketane, in the abode of the Devas, Kopi Anyaha Indan Chakara. Another Indra got the Indratvam, that is, he ruled as Indra when the first Indra had gone and the other Manvantara had also gone. That clear? So Nivritte Vasave Tasmin Nivritte cha Antare Manoho Indan Chakara Kopi Anyaha Vrindaraka Niketane. So if there are any questions, please raise your hands. I want to stop with this, with the first shloka today. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and then I will, you can unmute yourself. From the next week, it will be at the proper time, that is 8:30 India, IST 8:30 India time. Yeah. Namaste, Mahodaya.
Mahodaya, atra dada indan chakara anantaram vrinda atra dakara विषये किम् उक्तवती महोदय?
प्रासम् अनुप्रासः अस्ति इति.
आमामाम् महोदय, धन्यवादः.
ओके. अदे द्वितीयाक्षरप्रासं उंडु. It's very common in music also that they use this second akshara as a prasa, not the first one. Alda.
अनुप्रासा एव खलु?
अनुप्रासः एव. Yes.
अस्तु. सरस्वती श्लोकं मध्ये अपि एतत् आगच्छति. अस्तु महोदय.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how many leelas we have with respect to Indra, ma'am?
இந்திரன பொறுத்து இதோட ஓவர் நினைக்கிறேன்.
ரெண்டு மட்டும் தான்.
இது ஆமா, இதோட ஓவர். ரெண்டு தான் இந்திரன். மூணாவது வந்து இஸ் தி கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் ஆஃப் மதுரை, அது குலசேகர பாண்டியன். நாலாவதுல இருந்து நம்ம தடாதகை ஹீரோயின் வந்துருவா.
இல்ல எல்லாமே பூமிக்கு வந்துடுதா?
பூமியில தான், பூமி தான் இதுவும். ஈவன் ஹியர் அந்த நீபவனத்துல உங்களுக்கு வந்து அவர் அனுகிரகம் பண்றது தானே. அந்த கதம்ப வனம்ங்கிறது நம்ம மதுரை தானே.
முக்தி பெறணும் அப்படின்னா பூமிக்கு தான் வந்தாகணும்.
அது வாஸ்தவம் தானே. அது ரொம்ப ஏன்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து முக்தி பாபம் கழியறதுக்கு இதுக்கு போகணும், பாதாளத்துக்கு போகணும். புண்ணியம் கழியறதுக்கு சொர்க்கத்துக்கு போகணும். ரெண்டும் இல்லாத உங்களுக்கு பேலன்ஸ் ஷீட் 0 வர்றதுக்கு இங்கதான் வரணும். Yes. Namaste Mohdaya. Shankari Mohdaya, you have a question? You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
नमस्ते महोदय.
Namaste.
भवत्या यदा ऐरावतस्य शापविमोचनम् इति उक्तं, इन्द्रस्य अहङ्कारः इत्यादि, तदा गतसर्गे एव सः सम्यक्तया पापविमोचनं प्राप्तवान्, पुनः अहङ्कारः वा इति अन्य इन्द्रः इति श्रुत्वा अवगतम्. अनन्तरं सम्यक् अस्ति. अनन्तरम् एतद् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं तत्र पञ्चमाक्षरं व्यासंवसिष्ठ एव किल, तत्र लघु एव अस्ति. लघु एव अस्ति. नियम नास्ति इति भवत्या उक्तं.
न पञ्चम वर्णस्य तु न, तत्र द्वि सप्तमं द्वि चतुर्थयोः इत्यपि अस्ति. व्यासम् इति
द्वितीयं सम् एव किल, गुरु अक्षरम्.
तम् इत्यत्र यदि अनुस्वारः वर्तते तर्हि ह्रस्वस्य तु लघु इति न, तत्तु गुरुः भवति.
द्वितीय चतुर्थयोः गुरु इत्येव किल.
न द्वितीय चतुर्थयोः तु लघु इति एकः पाठः. पञ्चमं लघु सर्वत्र, सप्तमं द्विचतुर्थयोः, देन् गुरुः षष्ठम् इति तृतीये पादे तत्र.
न अवगतं महोदय.
वरे. So where is that?
सप्तमं द्विचतुर्थयोः गुरुः.
So panchamam lagu sarvatra, saptamam dvichaturtayoho. Now you can take this as either these three are guru or these three are laghu. Kadam bhavitum shakyate? Atra tu panchamam iti pa iti etattu guru, cha iti laghu vartate. Atra laghu iti laghu aksharaha. And then sarvatra iti guru. Va iti laghu. Na etadapi guru eva.
संयुक्ताक्षरम् अस्ति.
संयुक्ताक्षरम् अस्ति, तर्हि अत्रापि गुरुः एव. Correct. So however you take it, if you take it as saptamam dvi chaturthayoh tu guruhu iti yadi vayam svikurmah, tari atra dvi chaturthayoh tu katham tatra guruhu nasti eva, laghu eva asti. Panchamam laghu iti. That is why there is no niyamam for Anushtubh, kevalam ashtaksharata iti.
अस्तु महोदय, धन्यवादाः.
Namaste Bhagyalakshmi Mohdaya, you have a question? Hello, you can unmute yourself and ask a question if you have.
Hello.
Namaste.
Dvi chaturtayo means second and fourth pada, madam.
Second and fourth.
pada.
Okay.
And Shashtam,
Mahodaya.
all the sixth letters are Guru.
Super. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. Okay.
Mahodaya.
I've been thinking about it so wrong till now. So Panchamam and Saptamam is Lagu, right?
Panchamam always.
Saptamam lagu, Dvitiya Chaturtha Padayoho matrameva lagu.
Lagu. Okay. So Artha Yoho Mataha. Okay. This is too
Panchamam
complicated.
in all the four padas, Panchamam
Have to be Lagu. Okay,
Lagu,
super.
And in second and fourth pada, Saptamam is Lagu.
Okay, correct. Okay, good. Yeah. And then sixth is Guru in all padas. That's what we have to do. Okay.
This letter is
Okay.
always.
So this should be a constant here. In second and fourth, and then the Guru and this should be a constant in the all four padas. This is 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be a constant, and then 2 and 4. This should be a constant. So this can be anything. So prayikam, the rest can be anything. Is that what it says? Okay. This makes more sense. So if you analyze the Vyasam-Vasishta-Naptaram.
That's right, madam. Vyasam-Vasishta-Naptaram is right.
It will be right.
Tatra niyamah asti eva.
Okay.
Asti.
Vyasam Vasishtha. This is Laghu. And then here Kalmasham. Nidhi. Okay, these two are Saptamam are Laghu. Shashtam is Guru. Naptaram. Atra Shashtam api Laghu and Guru are there. Okay, this is Laghu and this is Guru. This is okay.
Panchamam sarvatra Laghu, Shashtam sarvatra Guru, Saptamam matram Laghu Dvitiya Chaturtha Padayoho iti.
Okay. I learned how Anushtubh is today. That's nice. I have always been going with one confusion with this. Thank you very much. This is nice. So Parasharatma Jam Vande idla eppadi varum? Wait. Parasharatma
Panchamam
Jam
Shashtam Guru eva Jam.
Vande. It doesn't matter. Saptamam tu tatra na bhavati. Okay. Shukatatam tapo nidhim. Okay, good. Okay, right. Yeah. This is nice. Thank you so much. Any other this thing? Questions? Clarifications?
Anuprasaha, Dvitiya Anuprasaha Yedigai iti Tamil Bhashaya vadama kilu.
Adeda. So Dvitiya Yadugai Monaingra இல்லையா?
Prathama aksharam chet Monai iti. Dvitiya aksharam chet Yedigai iti.
Correct. அதேதான். Yes. எனக்கு அதுல ரொம்ப பிரவೃತ್ತಿ கிடையாது. அதனால சொல்லுங்க.
Indan chakara punaha ekavaram.
இதி பரமேஸ்வர்யே அதாவது இதுங்கிறது எப்படின்னா ஒரு நிமிஷம். I think that is the first shloka இல்லையா? Here. Okay. இதி பரமேஸ்வர்யே iti dhatu. The dhatu usually when you have gamal gatau ityadi asti khalu. So in that manner it says paramaishwarye. So parama aishwaryam indan chakarana, one who attained a great wealth. So parama aishwaryam atratu and ஆளுமைன்னு எடுத்துக்கிறோம். So யாருக்கு வேற எவனோ ஒருத்தன் ஆளுமையை அடைந்தான்னு எடுத்துக்கணும். We got the sovereignty.
Astu. Dhanyawad.
It's a very peculiar verb. It's not seen in many usages there. Yeah.
Dhanyawad Mahodaya.
Okay. Namaste. Any other Ilya? Okay. Putam swataf putataram tato yad gangam payas shankara maulisangap tatpatu matu pranayaparadha padahate putatamam tato naha.